So our next speaker is a solution architect and consultant from Stormit, specialized in various AWS services and experience with well-architected framework. Please welcome Adam Novotny.
So, hi guys. Thank you for the little introduction. I want to start with also a simple questions. How many of you are familiar with Snowflake? Have you used it? And have you used it or using it in the current solution somewhere? Or is it just something what you have heard of somewhere? So, okay. So basically it's a big data solution. I will go through a little bit what we did for one of our customers, which was a biotech company. I will try to show you also some diagrams which can be meaningful mainly if you want to solve something similar in the future. It should bring you also an understanding of what we do overall and how it can be done in AWS. It was actually done by my colleague, which is like a serverless specialist, so expect a lot of serverless stuff. I don't think there is any other things in the diagrams itself. And about the company, I cannot name it because they didn't approve it, so sorry for that. Basically, it's a biotech startup that is specializing in genetic analysis tools, which is basically like analyzing DNA. They are a US-based company, so not in Europe. They needed to handle a lot of log streams from various data places. Basically, I will go into that a little bit deeper later. And they definitely needed to keep the cost manageable and performance top-notch, because with this much of data that they are getting actually from other businesses, it can be problematic. Also, the performance can be problematic. Our engagement with them, basically we are an AWS Advanced Partner. I think they have actually contacted us themselves. We haven't found them. We have expertise with Snowflake also, and definitely AWS, but this is mainly about the connection between various services, so the Snowflake and AWS. And with the results, because we did also something else for them than only doing the data stuff, we have helped them overall with cost optimization and some performance and security. We have seen some problems that they are using EC2 for various things, mainly some computing behind that we have not done in this case. And we have also used something called AWS well-architected framework, which I'm actually responsible in our company, which is a great tool from AWS that you can use with partner as us for getting your AWS solution or architecture against best practices, basically. So it's based on AWS best practices. So the solution overview. Now I will get a little bit more interesting, I think. Basically, these are the main services that we used in this kind of solution. You can see there are like S3 and Lambda, which are well known, I think. Athena, it's more like an ETL thing, and SQS, which is like a queue service, and Kinesis Data Firehose. I will talk about them a little bit later, more deeper, how we use them. And now for the Snowflake itself, they already had Snowflake in their company, and it was a big, basically think of it like a big data solution, big data stuff that they use. They use it mainly from the business side, not the technical side. So business people actually connect into it, watch some dashboards, watch some analytics. So they didn't want to actually go to AWS, these people, because a lot of other stuff is connected to Snowflake. So they understand Snowflake already, and they need some solution to get AWS data to Snowflake. This is where Snowpipe helps. It's basically like a solution, the connection between the AWS services and the Snowflake DB. Why they did really want it? Basically, they wanted to understand AWS cost allocation. I think like overall, when you grow in AWS and you have multiple projects, for example, even in one account, you are not really able that well to see what costs how much. In this case, it was mainly about S3, so S3 storage and also some other stuff, but they overall needed to understand the costs a little bit deeper. Also, they wanted to understand other things, like accesses to S3, which is still connected to the same thing. So they had some logging already in S3. They needed to understand who accessed what and when, basically. And the problem with S3 is when it grows, it's kind of problematic for business people to go to AWS and understand the stuff. So we use this kind of connection, which will be similar really to other things that we did. We used Glue ETL job, which actually created Parquet files, which are like overall just columnar format that makes the analytics faster and cheaper, which was in this case the thing that they needed. And as you can see, there is a lot of other stuff, but I don't really have time to go through that. But basically, you will see that in other places too. Let me show this other thing, which is S3 inventory logs. So in S3, there is a function that is called inventory, which gets you a lot of great information, metadata, about what is in S3. And it's kind of easy to get this information in S3 itself when it's a one folder thing, like one file, two files, thousands of files. But when it grows to thousands and hundreds of thousands of several other types of data and folders, and you need to understand who does what on these files and how are actually these files stored and how much they take up the space, it's kind of problematic. So that's where inventory configuration S3 comes. But they really needed to again connect it to Snowflake, which again is a big data solution with a lot of great dashboards that they already had. So they needed basically just select one customer, their customer, and needed to understand how much does it cost in AWS and how often they access these type of files. And based on that, for example, they could select the tier in S3. So I don't know if you are all familiar with tiers in S3, but for example, there is Glacier, which is for archiving, and they could then select this based on the data that they see in Snowflake, really simply. And also what they did, they have used a service called Amazon Connect, which is like a thing where you call basically. It's a support service, customer and support service. And they got a lot of flow logs from that, and they needed basically, again, the same information in Snowflake. So we have used this pipeline to get the information from Connect, again, serverlessly, so it's based on how much the data are flowing, how often. Everything works automatically from Amazon Connect to Snowflake, and business people, again, could see the really useful stuff about these calls, so they could basically see, for example, which customer uses it a lot, the support service, or not. And Okta is something that they use for identity management. And again, you can see the same pattern. That's why I don't want to go that deep into it. If somebody would be really interested into the actual solution, like what does the Lambda do, what some of the other services like EventBridge do here, let's just talk at our booth. But basically all of these stuff are there to simply, when you get something from the service, it automatically goes to Snowflake DB. And it's based also on the queue, and it sends the notification. So it's automatic based on the data that are flowing. So everything is automated and can grow to hundreds of thousands of megabytes of data that will be stored here for other analytics. And this is about the cost and usage report. I don't know if you guys ever worked with cost and usage report, but basically it's just a table that shows you every cost and every usage in AWS. So whenever there is some costs connected to any service, it's saved into Cure. It's well-known thing, mainly for those who create any dashboards, for example, like external dashboards about costs. For example, Cloud Checker, which is a service for cost optimization and other stuff, actually uses Cure, because Cure is something what is, for analytics, of course, the best. And this customer wanted to have it again in Snowflake, which was like a big solution, because they actually had much more accounts that is visible here, I think like tens of them, and they needed these dashboards like connected into one dashboard. Basically one table where you will see how much this actually costs in every AWS account, not only one account, but all of them together, and can actually analyze them together. And this was done again with these serverless solutions. Lambda actually usually calls automatically the Athena, which does the ETL job, and it's saved, optimized into the S3, and then it all goes to Snowflake again. And here are the actual patterns of it, like the themes that we used. One thing that we focused is basically the serverless, and it's event-driven, which is like something what we specialized in. And there was done a lot of stuff around data transformation and partitioning. So we used Glue and Athena. I think Glue was used for the parketing, so change the files that were, I think, CSV to Parquet, and Amazon Athena was chosen also for this. And the great thing about Snowflake, they have Snowpipe, which will connect basically to these services through SQS, and everything loads automatically and continuously. Which means that if the company will grow, and they actually, I think, grown a lot from the point when we create this, they are still connected the same thing. They have it on one place, and it works automatically without patches, thanks to serverless things. You don't need to update anything in this like a serverless solution, because Lambda is there, everything is there, everything stays the same and can work for a couple of years the same. The same is for scalability and cost management. I think like costs for serverless thing is a kind of difficult thing, but in this case, I think it was still the best solution we could find, thanks to how it changes in the company. And I think they are also able to connect other AWS accounts to the same solution again and use it well for the next couple of years. So basically the conclusion behind it, if you want to build something similar, so some connection with AWS and get the information from there, I think the best option here is to use serverless, like event-driven services that will help you definitely to scale with it, and you will not like need to change a lot of stuff through the years, because it will be always the same. Maybe there will be some changes on the Snowflake side, but I wouldn't expect that in the next couple of years. So it's this, and if you want again to talk about it a little bit deeper, we have a stand there. We can talk about it. I can actually just show you also more information about some of these stuff, like some of the diagrams I have deeper, like descriptions of what it actually does and how it was deployed. So anybody interested can show up. I think it's all on my side.